Jack Murphy looked out the window of the spaceship U.S. Frontier at the blue and green planet below. His hand shook a little as he put his plants in a small bag. As the ship's botanist, he studied plants, not people. But today, he had to meet aliens. "You ready, Murphy?" Captain Natalie Reeves asked, fixing her uniform. "Remember, you're here to talk about Earth plants that might grow on their world." Jack nodded, touching the pocket where he kept his special dark chocolate bar. It was his comfort food during long space trips. "Yes, Captain. Though I wish I could just send my reports instead of going to this big meeting." The shuttle ride down to the planet Elysium was quick. Jack had never seen a world so beautiful. Tall buildings that looked like they were made of crystal reached up to the sky. The air smelled sweet, like flowers after rain. The welcome party led them to a huge building with doors that seemed to open on their own. Inside, hundreds of aliens with silver skin and glowing eyes moved around a grand hall. Some looked at the humans with curiosity, others with doubt. "These are the Elysians," whispered Sam Wright, the team's translator. "Their civilization is thousands of years older than ours. Try not to touch anything, and don't eat or drink what they offer until we know it's safe." Jack felt out of place. The diplomats from Earth talked smoothly with the aliens, but he didn't know what to say. After an hour of standing awkwardly while important people talked, he needed some air. He found a quiet balcony away from the noise. The night air felt cool on his face as he looked up at two moons shining in the sky. One was pale blue, the other soft gold. "Beautiful, aren't they?" a voice said behind him. Jack turned to see an Elysian standing there. She was taller than most, with silver skin that seemed to shine in the moonlight. Her eyes were a deep purple. The translator on his collar beeped as it tried to keep up with their languages. "The moons?" "Yes, they are," Jack said. "On Earth, we only have one." The Elysian moved closer, looking at Jack with interest. Her head tilted slightly as she noticed the small bag he carried. "I'm Jack. By the way, Jack Murphy. I study plants." "I am." The translator made a strange noise, unable to convert her name properly. They stood in silence, watching the moons rise higher. Jack noticed the Elysian looking curiously at his pocket, where the shape of his chocolate bar showed. "Would you like to try something from Earth?" he asked, pulling out the chocolate. He broke it in half, offering her a piece. The Elysian looked unsure for a moment, then took it carefully in her long, slim fingers. She sniffed it first, then took a small bite. Her eyes widened instantly. The purple glow grew brighter as she chewed slowly, clearly enjoying the taste. She looked at Jack with what seemed like a smile, though Elysian faces worked differently from human ones. "This is remarkable," she said through the translator. "What do you call it?" "Chocolate. Dark chocolate, actually. It comes from a plant called cacao." The Elysian took another small bite, closing her eyes to enjoy it fully. "Your world must be amazing to grow such things." They talked for nearly an hour, mostly about simple things: the moons, the stars, and the chocolate. The translator struggled with some words, but they understood each other well enough. When a group of officials came looking for the Elysian, she seemed sad to leave. She placed her hand over her heart in what Jack guessed was a sign of thanks. "Until we meet again, Jack Murphy, who shares sweet Earth treasures," she said before following the officials inside. Jack watched her go, not knowing he had just shared chocolate with Queen Lyra, ruler of 17 star systems and the most powerful being in this part of the galaxy. He also didn't know that this simple act of kindness would change the future of both their worlds forever. Jack woke up to loud knocking on his door. He checked the time. 6:30 in the morning, Earth time. Who could need him this early? He opened the door to find Captain Reeves and Commander Allen standing there. Their faces looked very serious. "Jack, you need to come with us right now," said Captain Reeves. Her voice was tight, like she was trying not to show how worried she was. "What happened? Did I do something wrong?" Jack asked as he quickly put on his uniform. "That remains to be seen," Commander Allen said. The Elysian Royal Palace has contacted us. They're asking for you by name. Jack's heart beat faster. The Royal Palace. He didn't know anyone there. He had only talked to one Elysian, and she was just a regular person at the reception, wasn't she? In the meeting room, several officials from Earth sat around a table. They all looked at Jack when he walked in. Sam Wright, the translator, looked especially upset. Mr. Murphy, Captain Reeves began, who did you talk to at the reception last night? Jack fought back. Just one Elysian. We watched the moons from the balcony. She seemed nice. Sam groaned and put his head in his hands. He doesn't even know. Know what? Jack asked, feeling more confused. Captain Reeves showed him a picture on her tablet. It was the Elysian he met. Is this her? Yes, that's her. What's going on? Jack, this is Queen Lyra of the Elysian Dominion. She rules 17 star systems and leads trillions of beings. She is the most important Elysian in the galaxy. Jack felt like the floor had dropped away beneath him. The Queen? He had shared his half-eaten chocolate bar with a queen. There's more, Commander Allen said. Our cultural team just learned that sharing food with an Elysian is very important in their culture. It creates a special bond between people. Sam jumped in. In their culture, sharing food means you offer true friendship. It's sacred to them. And you shared food with their queen. Jack sat down hard in a chair. I didn't know. She just seemed interested in the chocolate. This could be very good or very bad, Captain Reeves said. We're still figuring out which. Just then, the door opened. A tall Elysian in shining clothes walked in. Everyone stood up quickly. I bring a message from Her Majesty, Queen Lyra. The Elysian said in perfect English. She requests the presence of Jack Murphy at the palace today. A private audience. The room went silent. A private audience with the Queen was unheard of, especially for someone who wasn't a top diplomat. When? Captain Reeves asked. In 3 hours. The Queen has cleared her schedule for him. After the messenger left, everyone started talking at once. Jack just sat there, shocked. This is huge, Sam said. No human has ever had a private meeting with the Queen. This could help our whole mission. Captain Reeves looked at Jack. You'll need to be careful. Everything you say could affect Earth's relationship with the Elysians. They spent the next 2 hours preparing Jack. They told him how to bow, what to call the Queen, and what not to say. Jack tried to remember it all, but his head was spinning. As he got ready to leave, he thought about what to bring. After a moment, he grabbed his last 3 chocolate bars from his personal bag. If sharing food is so important to them, he said, I should bring something good. The shuttle took him to the Crystal Palace that stood tall above the Elysian capital city. Guards in silver armor waited for him. Their faces showed no emotion as they led him through halls that seemed to be alive, with walls that glowed and changed colors. Jack walked toward his meeting with the Queen, the chocolate bars in his pocket and his heart in his throat. What would she want from him? And what would this mean for Earth and the Elysians? Jack walked between 2 tall Elysian guards. Their silver armor caught the light from the living walls of the palace. These walls seemed to breathe and pulse with soft blue light. As a botanist, Jack couldn't help but stare. Were the walls actually alive? The walls are made from our sacred trees, one guard explained, noticing Jack's interest. They live for thousands of years and agree to serve as our buildings. Jack had so many questions, but before he could ask more, they arrived at a set of large doors that opened on their own. The room inside was round with a high ceiling. Plants of all colors grew along the walls and hung from above. In the center stood Queen Lyra. She wore a simple white dress instead of fancy royal clothes. Her silver skin glowed softly in the room's light. When she saw Jack, her purple eyes brightened. Jack Murphy, she said, her voice clear through his improved translator. Thank you for coming. She waved away the guards. Leave us, please. I wish to speak with my Earth friend alone. The guards looked worried but bowed and left. Now Jack was alone with the Queen of 17 star systems. He tried to remember his training. "Your Majesty," he said, bowing deeply as he'd been taught. "It's an honor to meet you again." Queen Lyra smiled. "Please, when we are alone, call me Lyra. After all, we have shared food together." She led him to a sitting area surrounded by beautiful plants. Some had flowers that changed colors as they passed by. Jack couldn't believe his eyes. "These plants respond to emotions," Lyra explained. "They can feel how we feel." They sat down, and Jack noticed the flowers nearest to the Queen turned a deep blue. "I must explain something important," Lyra said. "When you shared your chocolate with me, you did more than offer a kind gift. For my people, sharing food creates a special connection. We can sense things about each other through the food we share." Jack swallowed hard. "What kind of things?" "I felt your kindness, your love for growing things, your honest heart." The Queen looked directly at him. "These qualities are very important to my people." Jack remembered the chocolate bars in his pocket. "I brought more chocolate, if you'd like to try different kinds." Lyra's eyes brightened again. "I would be honored." As they shared the chocolate, Lyra explained her world's problems. "Our planet faces a crisis. Our plants are dying. We make our medicine, our buildings, even our ships from plants. But a new disease is killing them, and our scientists cannot find a cure." "That's terrible," Jack said, thinking of how Earth had faced similar problems. "How can I help?" "Your world has different plants with different strengths. We hope to learn from Earth's plants, but the talks between our leaders go nowhere. They don't trust each other." Lyra stood and walked to a large window. 2 moons shone in the sky, just like the night they met. "Jack Murphy, I have a request that no Elysian ruler has ever made before. I want you to be my personal advisor on Earth plants. You would work with our scientists to find ways to save our world." Jack was shocked. "Me? But I'm just a botanist, not a diplomat or a leader." "That is exactly why I ask you. You see plants, not power. You offered friendship to a stranger without wanting anything in return." The Queen turned to him. "And there is one more thing. If you help us, we will share our medical knowledge with Earth. We can help cure many human diseases." Jack thought about it. This was huge. He was just one person, but he could help both worlds. "I would be honored to help, Your Maj. I mean, Lyra." The Queen smiled, and all the flowers in the room turned bright gold. "Then let us begin, Jack Murphy of Earth. There is much work to do." News of Jack's new job spread fast. By the time he returned to the U.S. frontier, everyone was talking about it. Some people looked at him with respect, others with doubt. Captain Reeves called a meeting with the whole Earth team. When Jack walked in, a tall man with gray hair stood up angrily. "This is the botanist who thinks he can play diplomat." The man's face was red. "I am Peter Hayes, lead diplomat for Earth. I have worked for 30 years to build relationships with alien worlds. And now this, Gardner is given special access to the Queen." "I didn't ask for this," Jack said quietly. Captain Reeves raised her hand for silence. "Mr. Hayes, Queen Lyra specifically asked for Jack. We can't refuse her. He'll ruin everything." Hayes shouted. "He knows nothing about diplomacy or Elysian customs." A woman with short black hair spoke up. "Actually, sharing chocolate was the perfect thing to do." This was Sophia Lane, the team's cultural expert. "The Elysians value honest actions over fancy words." Jack's simple kindness impressed the Queen more than all our prepared speeches. Peter Hayes wasn't the only one upset. The next day, Jack met with Elysian scientists at the Royal Labs. He noticed many of them watching him with cold eyes. One tall Elysian with deep green eyes approached Jack during lunch. "I am Krell, plant medicine specialist," he said in careful English. "Not all of us are happy about you being here." "I can tell," Jack said. "Why?" "Lord Vex leads the Royal Council. He says it is dangerous to be so close with humans. Some think the Queen has been tricked or that your chocolate had drugs in it. Jack almost spit out his drink. What? It was just regular chocolate. Krill's voice lowered. I believe you. But you should know that Vex has called for a council meeting to question the Queen's decision. Later that day, Sophia Lane came to Jack's lab with more bad news. Earth companies are causing trouble too. They don't want to share medical knowledge. They want to sell it and make money. Jack put down the plant samples he was studying. This is crazy. We're trying to help both worlds. Politics is always complicated, Sophia said. I think you need allies. That evening, Jack called a small meeting with Sophia and Krell. They met in a quiet garden room in the palace where the plants would warn them if anyone came close. We need to understand what's really happening, Jack said. Why is there so much pushback? Krell touched one of the nearby plants, and it changed color under his fingers. Lord Vex comes from an old family that has always been careful with outsiders. They believe mixing with other species will weaken us. And on our side, Sophia added, Earth corporations see alien technology as a way to make huge profits. They don't want free exchange of information. Jack thought about what Queen Lyra had told him about the plant disease. We don't have time for all this fighting. The Elysian plants are dying. People on Earth are sick. We need to work together. The Queen trusts you, Krell said. That means a lot. But be careful. Lord Vex has spies everywhere. As they talked, one of the garden plants suddenly turned dark red. Krell stood up quickly. Someone is coming. We should not be seen together yet. They barely had time to separate before Lord Vex himself entered the garden. He was taller than most Elysians, with cold silver eyes that seemed to cut through Jack. Mr. Murphy, he said in perfect English. How interesting to find you here, in a restricted area of the palace. Queen Lyra gave me permission to study all the palace gardens, Jack said, trying to sound confident. Lord Vex smiled, but it wasn't friendly. The Queen's interest in you has been noted, but remember, human queens can change their minds, and friends can quickly become unwelcome guests. As Lord Vex left, Jack realized this job would be much harder than he thought. He wasn't just fighting plant disease anymore. He was caught in the middle of a power struggle between two worlds. Despite the problems with Lord Vex and the Earth diplomats, Jack started work at the Royal Plant Labs. The Elysian scientists watched him carefully at first. They didn't trust this human who had somehow become the Queen's friend. But Jack didn't care about politics. He cared about plants. When he showed the Elysians how Earth farmers rotated crops to keep soil healthy, some of the scientists became interested. We never thought of this, said a young Elysian named Taylor. Our plants talk to each other and share nutrients, so we never needed to move them. Plants that talk. Jack was amazed. Can you show me? Tella took Jack to a special room where silver-leaf plants grew in perfect circles. She touched one leaf and whispered to it. Moments later, all the plants in the circle changed color at the same time. They share information through their roots, Tella explained. They can warn each other about danger or share food when one is hungry. Jack learned something new every day. Elysian plants could heal, light up dark places, and even remember things. But many of these amazing plants were dying from the new disease. The disease blocks the plants from talking to each other, Krell explained. When they can't communicate, they get weak and die. Jack thought about Earth plants. On Earth, some plants release chemicals to fight disease. Maybe we could create a mix of Earth and Elysian plants that could resist this disease. Queen Lyra visited the lab often. She seemed truly interested in Jack's ideas and always brought new foods to share. Each time they ate together, Jack felt like he understood her world a little better. Your planet has such different ways of growing things, the Queen said one day as they walked through a garden. We always work with our plants as partners. You shape yours to serve your needs. Not all humans think that way, Jack said. Many of us are trying to work better with nature, not against it. Jack showed the Queen pictures of Earth's forests. We've cut down too many trees. Some places that were once green are now dry and empty. The Queen nodded sadly. We faced a similar problem long ago. We almost destroyed our world before we learned to listen to it. How did you fix it? Jack asked. We created guardian trees, the Queen said. Plants that could grow quickly and help other plants survive. They changed our world in one generation. Jack's eyes widened. Guardian trees. Could they grow on Earth? Perhaps, with some changes to help them live in your world. While Jack worked with the Elysians, Earth scientists began studying the medical technology Queen Lyra had shared. Reports came back that they had already found treatments for 3 serious human diseases. People on Earth who had doubted the friendship with Elysians began to change their minds. News showed sick children getting better with Elysian medicine. Public opinion was shifting. Even some of Lord Vex's supporters started to question his stance against humans. The Queen's plan was working. Both worlds were helping each other. One evening, Jack was working late in the lab when Sophia rushed in. Her face looked worried. Jack, you need to be careful. Peter Hayes was seen meeting with Lord Vex in secret. Hayes and Vex. Together. Jack was surprised. Why would an Earth diplomat meet with the leader of the anti-human group? Sophia shook her head. I don't know, but it can't be good. They're planning something. Just then, Krell burst into the room. The usually calm Elysian looked scared. Jack, Queen Lyra has called an emergency meeting. Lord Vex has made a formal complaint to the Royal Council. He wants you removed from the planet, and all agreements with Earth cancelled. Jack looked at the plant experiments that were just starting to show results. If he was forced to leave now, all their work would be for nothing. We can't let that happen, he said. Too many lives depend on what we're doing here. Jack, Sophia, and Krell hurried through the palace halls. Guards stood at every door, more than usual. Something was very wrong. They reached the throne room just as the doors closed for the emergency meeting. They could not go in. What do we do now? Jack asked. Krell looked around, then whispered, Follow me. There's another way to hear what's happening. He led them through small side halls to a room filled with plants. These plants had wide leaves that looked like satellite dishes, all pointing toward the wall. Listening plants, Krell explained. They collect sounds from other rooms. Touch the stem, and you can hear. They each touched a plant stem. Immediately, they could hear voices from the throne room. Lord Vex was speaking. Your Majesty, I have proof that the humans cannot be trusted. Their diplomat, Peter Hayes, told me himself that they plan to steal our plant technology once they learn it. Queen Lyra's voice was calm but firm. Did he really say this, or are you twisting his words, Lord Vex? See for yourself, Vex said. There was a pause, then Hayes' voice played from a recording. Once we understand their plant technology, we won't need them anymore. We can develop it ourselves and control who gets access. Jack felt sick. Hayes had betrayed both worlds. Before the Queen could respond, there was a commotion in the throne room. New voices shouted orders. Metal clanged against metal. What's happening? Sophia whispered. The plant trembled under their fingers. They heard Queen Lyra's voice again, now angry. What is the meaning of this, Lord Vex? Guards, arrest these rebels. But then came Vex's cold laugh. Your guards answer to me now, your former Majesty. The Royal Council has decided you are unfit to rule. You have been too influenced by humans. Krell pulled his hand away from the plant, his face pale. This is a coup. Vex is taking over the government. Just then, Jack's communicator beeped. It was Captain Reeves. Murphy, get back to the ship now. Someone has attacked our communications center. We're cut off from Earth. Captain, Queen Lyra is in danger, Jack said quickly. Lord Vex has taken over. This was planned, Sophia said. Cut off Earth from their allies. Then take power here. I need to help the Queen, Jack said. That's suicide, Captain Reeves said. "The palace will be locked down." "I know another way in," Krell said. "Through the living walls. The guardian trees will let friends of the Queen pass through." Jack made his decision. "Captain, you try to fix communications with Earth. We're going to find the Queen." Krell led them to a quiet garden behind the palace. He placed his hand on a tree that formed part of the wall. The bark rippled like water. "These walls remember who has been kind to them," Krell said. "Jack, you helped save many plants in the lab. They may let you through." Jack put his hand on the tree. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the tree seemed to soften, creating an opening just big enough for a person to slip through. "It worked," Sophia whispered. They moved through dark passages inside the living walls. Plants glowed softly to light their way. After many turns, they reached a small door. "This leads to the Queen's private garden," Krell said. "She might go there to hide." They opened the door carefully. The garden was empty, but they could hear voices from a room beyond. They crept closer. Through a window, they saw Queen Lyra surrounded by Lord Vex and his guards. The Queen looked angry, but not afraid. "You have made a terrible mistake, Vex," she said. "Our worlds need each other." "No," Vex replied. "We found something much better than friendship with humans. We found trillion credit deposits of rare minerals on Earth. Why trade fairly when we can take what we want?" "That's why Hayes worked with you," Jack whispered. "He wants exclusive rights to Elysian technology." "We need to get the Queen out," Sophia said. But as they prepared to move, guards appeared behind them. They were surrounded. "Well," said Lord Vex, coming out to meet them. "The Queen's pet human and his friends. How perfect. Now we have everything we need to convince the people that humans are dangerous spies." Lord Vex's guards took Jack, Sophia, and Krell to the room where Queen Lyra was being held. The Queen's eyes widened when she saw them. "Jack, are you hurt?" she asked. "We're fine, Your Majesty," Jack said. He looked at Lord Vex. "You won't get away with this. Earth and Elysium need each other." Lord Vex laughed. "Need? No. We only need Earth's minerals, and we will take them." Guards stood all around them. There seemed to be no way out. Then Jack remembered something the Queen had told him about the chocolate they shared. "Lyra," he said, using her name instead of her title. "Remember when we first shared food? You said it created a connection between us." The Queen's eyes lit up as she understood. "Yes, a deeper connection than most Elysians ever experience with outsiders." Jack stepped closer to her, ignoring the guards who moved to stop him. "Can we use that connection now?" Queen Lyra reached out and took Jack's hands. "Focus on the memory of the taste, the moment we shared it." They closed their eyes. At first, nothing happened. Then Jack felt something strange, like he could feel what the Queen was feeling. Her thoughts seemed to flow into his mind. "What are they doing?" Lord Vex demanded. "Stop them." But before the guards could pull them apart, all the plants in the room began to glow brightly. The walls, the ceiling, the floor, all made from living plants, started to pulse with light. "The palace responds to my biological signature," the Queen said, her voice stronger now. "And through our connection, it recognizes Jack as well." The floor suddenly opened beneath two guards, soft plant material forming a net that dropped them safely but trapped them in a lower room. Vines grew quickly from the walls, wrapping around other guards, but not touching Jack or his friends. "Impossible," Lord Vex shouted. "No human should be able to connect with our plants." "Not impossible," the Queen said, "just unprecedented." With the guards trapped, Jack, Sophia, Krell, and Queen Lyra ran through the palace. The living walls opened paths for them and closed behind them, blocking anyone who tried to follow. They reached the central communication hub of the palace. Guards lay unconscious on the floor, and Captain Reeves stood over them with a stunned look on her face. "Captain," Jack called, "how did you get here?" "The strangest thing," she said. "The walls just let me in, like they knew I was on your side. The Queen's connection with Jack is affecting all the palace defenses, Krell explained. They recognize friends now. Queen Lyra went to the main control panel. We must tell everyone what Vex has done. She activated the system that would broadcast to all the Elysian worlds and to Earth. Jack stood beside her as she spoke. People of the Elysian Dominion and people of Earth, Lord Vex has attempted to seize power to start a war between our worlds. He planned to steal Earth's resources instead of trading fairly. This betrays everything Elysians believe about respect and balance. Jack spoke next, and Peter Hayes betrayed Earth too. He wanted to keep Elysian medicine for profit instead of helping everyone. The broadcast showed pictures of the peaceful work they had done together, plants being healed, sick humans getting better with Elysian medicine. Within hours, Elysians across all 17 star systems voiced their support for the Queen. Earth leaders, now understanding the full picture, sent ships to help. Lord Vex and his supporters were arrested. Peter Hayes would face justice on Earth. 1 month later, Jack and Queen Lyra stood on the same balcony where they had first shared chocolate. But this time, they weren't alone. Leaders from both worlds gathered around a table filled with food from Earth and Elysium. Today we signed the Botanical Accord, the Queen announced. A new kind of partnership between our worlds. The agreement would focus on sharing plant knowledge and medicine. Earth would receive guardian trees to help heal damaged forests. Elysium would get new plants to fight the disease threatening their world. Jack looked at the chocolate dessert on the table. It's amazing that all this started with one small piece of chocolate. Queen Lyra smiled. Sometimes the smallest kindness can change worlds. As everyone shared the meal together, new connections formed between humans and Elysians, and high above, the twin moons shone down on two worlds that were no longer strangers but friends.